After Hours.
On this episode of the History of the Corps After Hours podcast, we continue our Canadian invasion by discussing the band known as Alexisonfire. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. Make sure to check us out on TikTok and give us a follow at IsSurvivedByProductions. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's just start this thing, okay? I'm done talking.
The devil is in Atlanta. Army surrounded.
Welcome back to the History of the Corps After Hours podcast, where each and every episode, I, Curtis, sit down with my good friend and avid listener to the History of the Corps podcast, Erik. What up, Erik?
The sky. The price of tea in China, from what I hear.
Really? What the heck? Where am I going to get my tea now?
Yeah, probably Boston Harbor, something like that.
Yeah, it's a little too salty.
Yeah, I figured.
Ugh. Salty tea.
It's a flavor.
Salty tea?
Not a good one.
Salty tea. Is there salt in tea?
Probably not.
Anybody got any tea? We can look at the ingredients. What is happening, man? What is happening? We're already off the rails. We barely began. Yeah. Hey, everything's going okay?
Life's great.
Loving the weather?
Amazing.
Nice. I'm loving it too, man. I just wish it would make up its mind because it's back into the 80s again.
This is Oklahoma.
In,
we get the leftovers from whatever else the other parts of the country get.
Come on. Make up your mind. You know, one or the other. And let's stick with that decision. So, yeah. Hey, everybody likes trying something new, right, Erik?
Well, not everybody. But
well,
you should try new music.
People enjoy when other people force them to try new things. No, we have a brand new segment that we're going to try to be installing into each and every episode here. This is kind of the beta episode, I guess you could say. Erik is going to be bringing you a band that's kind of could be local, could be not local, just like a small band. Basically, all around, just kind of an unknown small band that's maybe up and coming, or maybe they've been around for a while and they just never really did anything. I don't know. We're gonna. It's his segment. I'm just here to enjoy it with you folks. But we're calling it Erik's Band Spotlight. Erik, who do you have as your numero uno band in the spotlight this week?
Although it may sound like a reference to something like Linkin Park, it is actually not. But they are called One Step Closer.
Is this Is this the Linkin Park cover band?
It is definitely not. Although the time I did see them, I saw them in Oklahoma City with Dayseeker and Silverstein. Silverstein pops up with a cover from Linkin Park on the day that we seen them. I'm like, they're not going to do that song, are they? Sure enough, they do play One Step Closer.
We're going to do it.
And I was like, I feel weird about this whole situation. Are you singing about them, to them, for them?
This
I don't
one's
know.
for this band.
But
it's called One Step Closer, and so is the band's name.
Yeah. That's not weird at all.
Everybody sing along. Act like you're enjoying it.
The thing that hurt my soul when he said it, though, when he was going to play that song was, this is for the elder emos out there. I was like, you hurt me. You cut me deep, sir.
I think everybody knows Linkin Park, man. Everybody can appreciate at least those days of Linkin Park, you know? So, I mean, come on now.
He hurt me.
We're not that old. We're not that old, Shane. You're old. He's older than us. What the heck?
Well, another band I went to here recently said the same thing. We've gone off the rails entirely, but she said, this is for the elder emos, the ones who still wear Vans, but now put the insoles inside them. Ooh. And I was really cut deep.
I'm close. I'm close to that. I have the Vans. I'm rocking the Vans. But, yeah, the feet are starting to hurt every once in a while, so I need to get some Dr. Scholl's inserts.
Not sponsored by this channel.
Please sponsor us. Anyway, go. Yeah, let's get the train back on the tracks here, man.
So I did see these guys. They did put on a really good show. They have a whole lot of stage energy, great presence up there. According to most, they identify as, quote, melodic hardcore. I don't really know what that even means anymore because that's such a big, mushy thing.
You just got me with the identify. They identify as? Oh, boy. Oh, geez. Where's this going?
Well, smaller bands, when they get smaller, you have less ability to find them like on a wiki page,
right.
Or band camps get kind of skinny. There's not a lot to them. There's not. It's your bread sandwich. Not a lot of meat to find out there.
You said melodic hardcore, right?
Melodic hardcore. Okay. So I would say most of their vocals are of the harsher sort. They do kind of melodic sing a little bit. It reminds me of Silverstein's newer stuff. Okay. A little bit with his harsher vocals.
I do enjoy his harsh vocals now.
They have definitely changed over the years. And then really for the most part I was listening to them kind of back to back with like Touche Amore and Comeback Kid. And they really fit right in there with those guys.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Very intrigued.
Yeah, they got a good sound. I dig them. You should try them out.
And they're on Bandcamp, right? You said?
I believe they have a Bandcamp page. Okay. So they are from Wilkes-Barre. I'm probably butchering that. I'm sorry, guys. Pennsylvania.
Oh, Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah, that place.
Yeah, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. All right. It's not me this time that's, not being able to speak.
If you got a hyphen in your name, man, I just know what to tell you. Just make it one word. Come on. But anyway, they're from that place in Pennsylvania. They were formed back in 2016. They are currently under Run for Cover Records.
Ooh, yes, that's a good. Touche Amore used to be under that one. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah,
buddy.
they run for cover. They like that stuff, I guess.
Used to be a good one.
So they do have several EPs, quite a few, in fact. They have one full-length LP right now. It's called This Place You Know. They released it back in 21, of course, under Run for Cover Records. Their album artwork, I was discussing this with Curtis just a minute ago. It reminds me a lot of either Dance Gavin Dance or like the full art from One Wing from the Chariot.
Yeah, that's true.
And we were discussing a minute ago, it actually looks like Salvador Dali's painting of the melting clocks.
Everybody should know that. If you don't, get out of here.
So that's a little bit of oddity for their first album. I like it, but
yeah.
Let's see here. What do I
really
have?
Gives me heavy Dance Gavin Dance vibes.
Yeah, with how random some of their stuff is on their
just
albums.
So random, man. So, it'd be interesting to see if they continue on as a band, if they would carry that theme throughout their album artwork, just like Dance Gavin Dance does.
That would be cool.
That'd be pretty
We don't have
dope.
enough of that.
We need consistency, people.
We
in
do
music.
like
That's what we
consistency.
need, man.
So we have here a few lyrics and things I've kind of cherry picked for you. So this one's from a song called I Feel So. As the earth spins, so does the clock that takes us away. Why can't the future be bright like all those stories say? Getting back to Salvador Dali, I guess.
Nice.
So lyrically and theme-wise, they remind me a bit of Touche Amore.
Okay.
Modern-day emo, kind of what I would call it, I guess, with a metalcore edge to it. These guys are well worth a try. They're definitely a newer band. Since they just put out their first LP less than 2 years ago.
But does it sound pretty polished, or do they keep it kind of raw?
It's still pretty raw.
Okay.
It's it's not garage raw.
Right. It's not like one mic demo track.
Yeah, we're not that raw.
Yeah, I'm not looking for that. But yeah.
It's polished enough to where you can listen to it on a daily basis,
right.
And it's not an assault on the ears.
Okay.
So they do remind me of that Touche Amore, but in their musical section, instrumental section, it's a little heavier.
Ooh.
So it's not quite as, Touche Amore we've talked about, they're very harsh vocally and very chill musically.
Yes.
Which is such a weird dichotomy.
It's a yin-yang, bro.
It's very strange. This one,
yin-yang.
they're just hanging hard on more that harsher side of things.
Okay.
And I kind of dig it. So.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. Okay. Is there a specific song that you think people should start with?
Well, since they only have
album.
one LP.
Well,
yeah.
I was going to say album, but it's like they only have one, long play, so.
As of right now, I say one of the good ones, like the lyrics I was spitting at you a minute ago there. I Feel So. That's probably a good one. They played that one live for us. It's like I said, they played a really good set actually.
They have a short set, or did they play a long one?
It was a decent set. It's not, of course, they're openers, so they're not going to play a 45-minute long set.
Yeah.
But I mean, they played a pretty decent set.
What year did you see them?
That would have been.
Was it pre-COVID?
No.
Because it was post. So it'd probably be around the time that they released that, right?
I think it was early this year.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So they would have had plenty of material then.
Yeah, they've released a couple of EPs, I believe, since this LP came out.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maybe one, maybe two. I can't remember. This seems to be the season of people releasing EPs, so I'm having a hard time keeping track of all of them.
No, I'm with you on that.
So
some of these, I was looking up Run for Cover on the side here. Man, I don't know anybody that's currently on their list.
Yeah, I looked through a little bit, but I was remembering, like you said, some bands that have had been on there.
Yeah, man, here's a band, to me personally. Do you know the band Code Orange? You do, don't you?
I've heard the name.
Okay, so there was a band before Code Orange became a big thing. A bunch of those people that are in that band now had a band before and was called Adventures. And it was kind of like an indie rock band. I loved that band. And I found them, I don't know, I may have found them through Touche, but they were on Run for Cover Records. Man, they were so good. And I was so disappointed when they decided to disband or whatever and go do, Code Orange. I mean, Code Orange is okay. I don't hate it. I just was really looking forward to more Adventures, but hey, see what I did there? Yeah. Anyway, Balance and Composure, Basement, yeah. Casket Lottery, Citizen.
Oh yeah, Casket Lottery.
Code Orange Kids, Crime and Stereo. That name sounds familiar. I don't know. I don't know who this band is, but this one just kind of caught my eye. A band name called Elvis Depressedly. That's funny. Empire. I remember that band. Fireworks. That was a good pop punk band back in the day too. They may still be around. I don't know. They used to have some good bands. Me Without You was on there for a while. Modern Baseball. One Step Closer. Pine Grove. Yeah, they used to have a lot of good bands, but I don't recognize any of the bands on there now. Oh, and how could I ever forget one of my favorite bands, Tiger's Jaw.
Oh,
that's a good band. Oh man, such a good band. Cool, man. Well, did you have anything else on that band, or did you?
I was just gonna say they're still new, but give them a shot.
I just want to make sure I didn't interrupt you in the middle of your thought or anything there. Cool, man.
Go give them a shot. Try them out. Give them to a real good listen. They're well worth a try.
Okay. That has been Eric's Band Spotlight number 1, One Step Closer. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, they'll find their way onto the Pop podcast, the History of the Chorus podcast. Maybe me and Josh will sit down one day.
Once they get a little more meat on that sandwich.
When we get a little more meat on that sandwich, maybe give us another album, full length. Maybe we'll take a look at them and break it down a little further, a little deep dive.
Break it down now,
one, man. Dig. All right, man. Well, let's dive on into the band that you and I are going to discuss today. A little band known as Alexisonfire. So, Eric, as always, I got these 2 stable questions I always ask you in the beginning of each episode. How were you introduced to Alexisonfire?
So, I think I've always known about them.
Okay.
I can't remember a time where I didn't know the name.
They were always kind of that band that was like, you just knew about them. I was the same way.
I mean, I had friends that were like, this band Alex is on fire, or Alexis on fire, or I don't know. It's this mush word. It's all together. I don't know what to call these guys. I was like, I've heard about them, never heard their music. So anyway, but like many others, I never gave them a try.
Right.
Pandora a few years ago. Their song, This Could Be Anywhere in the World. Some station I was frequenting at the time just kept playing that song over and over. I was like, I better give these guys a shot. So I finally...
So it was a good song, right?
It is a fantastic song.
Most people
every time it would come on, that's like, wow, that's a good song.
I was about to say, I'm sure a lot of people probably got into the band because of that song right there.
And even then, though, I didn't go much deeper
than
probably just that album. And, just kind of left it at that for the time.
Right.
Until you guys came along and said, hey, listen to these guys. And I said, okay.
All right, I guess I will.
Fine.
Put the gun away. You don't have to use that.
And excessive force isn't needed this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe with a chariot.
Yeah, it took some convincing there, buddy. But we finally came
Many,
around.
many years of convincing on that
And
one.
we finally came around. Don't you love it though? I mean, it's kind of like, again, we're getting a little off topic, but I mean, isn't it kind of satisfying though when, because I've been that way too about some bands where it's like, no, I don't get a good vibe from them. The name, I was like, I don't really want to do it. And then like years upon years later, you finally get around to, and you're like, oh, what an idiot. I've been missing out on so much, man.
Well, unfortunately, usually when I do that, the band's already called it quits at that point. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's my
I could
luck
have been
too,
like
man.
helping them go to the next level,
Right.
or I don't know. I think my opinion's gold, and so obviously, me liking them would have helped them go next level.
You just said something that made me think of something. So on the next episode that me and Josh are about to record, one of the band that we're talking about, I was looking up some of their history, and somewhere along the line, somebody had mentioned MySpace Street Teams. Do you remember that?
Wow.
That's a throwback. I had forgotten all
Let me
about
just
that.
Dive
man.
back into my files and my memory here.
Shoo.
Wow.
Yeah, that's some throwback right there, man.
Boy, we're old.
If you know, people. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's like me personally. Like, I really didn't realize that they had two albums? Yeah, 2 albums before Crisis. I never really realized that.
Yeah, Crisis is kind of where I got my start with them there.
Yeah.
Of course, with that one song.
Yeah.
And then from there, I didn't really go backwards.
And just move forward.
And then I didn't really go forward really that much at that point. But
He was just stuck in the mud.
I was right there. That put my stick in
happy.
the mud.
I'm
That's
happy where I'm at right now, man. Cool. So Eric, how would you describe Alexisonfire to a brand new listener?
They're an interesting group.
How so?
Well, from how they got their name
True.
to being Canadian, that makes them interesting. At least being down here from the lower 48.
Right.
But, sound-wise, depending on what era we're talking about, I guess.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
that's true. They've changed. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, they've been around since, what,
Oh, boy.
02, 05, when their first couple albums came
Don't
out?
get me started with that last album, man.
Well, that's really changed. But
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking immediately when you said, what era? I was like, yeah, I mean, if you took their last album and their first album, that's different, man.
don't put them side by side.
Yeah. Anyway.
But the first couple albums are very, what I would say, of the era. Like that 02 to 05, early 2000s. They have that sound to them. I don't know that I can quantify that sound for you or put it into words, but
well,
if you know the music from that era,
Yeah.
this sounds like that.
I was about to say, I'll kind of go ahead and jump to this next part and kind of include it in this question too, because you talk about that. Josh said that he felt like their first couple albums, their self-titled and Watch Out, sounded like Under Oath's Changing of Times. So that'd be when Dallas Taylor's last album. And then I had said that I kind of felt there were some elements of some early Fall of Troy, mainly like vocally, but just a little bit of musically, but more vocally. So yeah, that's interesting. So, but anyway,
Definitely there. And then kind of their next 2 albums, would that be Crisis and Broadcasting?
No.
That's not
Hey,
even the
now
right
you're
album.
confusing the next band we're going to be talking about here. That's
wrong album.
Yeah.
Old Crows, Young Cardinals.
Yeah.
Whatever order that is. But anyway, those 2 are a little more timeless. They're not as stuck in that early 2000s era
Right.
feeling to me. They're a little bit more maybe post-hardcore-ish,
That's a good way of putting it. That's interesting. Yeah.
and maybe a little bit more normal hardcore in some areas, of course,
Yeah.
too. But the last one overall, I don't want to even talk about it, so we'll just skip that one.
It's
But-
an interesting one.
What you were saying there about, whether it feels like old Under Oath or old Fall of Troy or, somewhere in there, I actually got early Vanna vibes. Like,
How early?
very early. We're talking the Search Party Never Came EP.
Really? Okay.
Like that rawness that they have. I think that's what it came down to, is just that early rawness that they had.
Now you're talking about on their first 2 albums?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting.
That's the way I felt.
Okay. Let's go and get that first question out of the way, because I think you're gonna get it. Yeah. Where did the band get the name Alexisonfire, Eric?
There was a certain actress,
"Quote unquote" actress.
of illicit sorts, and her name was Alexis. Do I have to say all of it?
I don't even remember what it was. I thought I had it in my notes, but I didn't.
If I remember the original podcast right, I think it was Alexis Texas, something crap like that.
No, that wasn't it.
Anyway, it was Alexis something. I don't remember.
So I don't remember it being like really like raunchy or anything.
No, it wasn't. But
yeah.
I know it was a actress. Yes.
Let's see. Oh, it's just Alexis Fire.
Oh,
that's
Fire.
what it was.
Well, Texas is on fire, so that works.
Otherwise known as Foxy Roxy,
Oh.
Trina, Donna, Deidre, and Bella Julia. Anyway, yeah, no. Anyway,
Well, I got it half right anyway.
no, you're good. Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm giving it to you because yeah, you knew what it was. I didn't expect you to know her name. Yeah, it was interesting because we mentioned it in the podcast. She caught wind of it.
Oh, yeah.
And decided to sue the band over the name, but she ended up losing, which is pretty funny. Score 1 for the boys in Canada. A. Score 1 for Hoser Core. Yeah. All right, let's talk about some album covers here. So the Watch Out album cover, it always stood out to me among their other album covers. Josh kind of referred to AFI's early album artwork, which spot on, I think. Maybe not like early, like the first couple, but like I think you get towards like the mid to late 90s more, where it's kind of that cartoon.
Like
stuff.
I'm proud of you, and
Proud of you, and then
what was the other one?
what's the one with the kid with? There's a kid on the front, and there's like some. It's supposed to be from like a 1920s like magic kit.
Yeah.
That one's like close to the end of the 90s. I think that one's right before Black Sails.
That's a good album.
I can't remember what it's called right off the top of my head though. But yeah, I think that's what he was thinking of, and I thought that was spot on. But yeah, it always just kind of stood out to me when you line up all their album covers together. It's like that one's interesting. It's just like I would think like all the other ones go together. And be like, okay, yeah, I can see that from all those bands, but like that one, just like I look at it and be like, it seems more like an early like punk, like AFI was back in the day, like
Old
that's
hardcore.
yeah, I'm like that's kind of weird. So yeah, I was wondering what your thoughts were on the Watch Out album artwork.
See, I like that comic book looking art. It's weird that they didn't stick with it for at least a couple albums.
Yeah,
me.
well,
like it was just a one-off.
That's what I'm
almost.
saying too. Is like it was just like a one-off, and was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But maybe they just went through a quick phase.
Yeah, I like the colorful, eye-catching art like that.
Yeah,
I honestly wish more bands would do that. There's a couple I put in my notes. Like I said, the early days of AFI for sure. Austrian Death Machine, actually. I went through and looked at their artwork. And most of it's kind of that really bright, kind of artistic, comic booky look to it.
yeah.
What's another one here? The Anchor has a... it's just a cover song, I guess, basically. All Downhill From Here. And it's got this green monster-looking dude on the front. It's like a vampire monster with a cool hat with a hill behind it. It's very much random, and it's very much like a comic book looking.
Okay.
But yeah, I've seen it. Like I said, a couple of those like that. I really like the pop of color, especially when a lot of your hardcore stuff like this ends up being really dark and kind of
black and white, black and gray. Yeah.
If you throw in a color, it's going to be red because it's blood. You
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yep.
You don't get a lot of color out
Ain't
of a lot
nobody
of
throwing
these.
no pink on there. At that point, it's just pop punk.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really what you get. You get into pop punk and then you get
It's,
colors.
there's a lot of like bright colors on it, man. I immediately think of Hit the Lights album. It may just be self-titled, but it's like it just says Hit the Lights, and it's like somebody took like a paintbrush and like splattered a bunch of different colors onto a canvas. It's like, yeah, that's it, But yeah, a lot of bright colors on those pop punk albums.
But I like I said, the kind of that comic book look too. That's awesome.
That's
I
pretty
like
cool,
it.
yeah.
And this one, it even is dark. Her hands, like the flesh is melting off her hands and stuff. And
Is that what it is?
it looks like because her hands are skeletons.
That's what I was wondering. It was like, I was just thinking she was turning into a skeleton. Ooh,
Well, I mean, how do you turn into a skeleton? I would assume your flesh has to go somewhere.
your flesh?
So, I mean, it can be construed as pretty dark, even though it is very comic book looking.
No, I don't want 2 Chainz. Watch out! I want Alexisonfire. I don't care about 2 Chainz, bro.
2 Chainz.
2 Chainz. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess I never really realized. I'm just looking at her fingers, so I guess I don't really look at like the close to like the wrist. Yeah, that's interesting. Watch out.
You better watch out.
That's the other thing too, is like every time I refer to that album, I can't just be like, hey, Alexisonfire's Watch Out. I'm like, Alexisonfire's Watch Out. Watch out. Yeah. So what about this Crisis album artwork, Eric? 1977 Ontario Blizzard. I had this album at one point, and I'm really mad at myself that I could not find it for the original episode, because so on the front it's a guy. His hands are all blown up with really, really bad frostbite from the 1977 Ontario blizzard. But apparently inside the booklet, the album booklet, there's a bunch more pictures from that blizzard of like different people, frostbite and different stuff like that. And so I was really intrigued to go look at that, and I cannot find it for the life of me, man. So I was
people don't post pictures of booklets online.
They don't, man. We need those.
Because I was remembering, we talked about it a little bit before, the Escape the Fate, their very first, was it Reverse This Curse, I believe, their first album, has the picture from like the nose down of that girl. Yeah. And I got to look, and I have the artwork for the back. I found that in my collection.
Yeah.
I don't have the booklet. So I know somewhere, and I think it's the back of the booklet, the lyric booklet that is. If you turn that over, it has like the top half of her face.
Oh, okay.
So from like the rest of her nose and up, and it's
Is it
like
a
very
fold out?
I don't remember if it was a fold out or.
I like those too, where they were like fold outs and they'd make it a big
make
picture.
it the full picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it had a like more of a descriptive look to her, like it almost looked like a dead person stuffed in a locker.
Ooh.
Like it turned real dark real fast.
Okay.
And I can't find that picture anywhere. Huh. And I don't know, that's maybe because I got an early copy of it or something. Beats me, I don't know.
Man, for a while there, sometimes bands would, if you bought like an album off of like iTunes or whatever, you could get the electronic booklet with it, which would be the same thing. It's just in electronic form.
PDF document.
I mean, yeah, and I was cool with that because I'd bought several like that back in the day, and it was pretty cool looking at that stuff. I just feel like that lends a lot to the album. Sometimes you look, I mean, I always think of, there's 2 that I always think of. One is Silverstein's Discovering the Waterfront. There's a bunch of artwork of that guy that's on the front cover in different situations and such like that. And
it's almost like a story that it's taking.
Well, I was about to say, and they go with the lyrics.
Yeah.
The pictures do. And so that's pretty cool. The other one I always think of is Norma Jean's Oh God, The Aftermath. It's a bunch of crazy pictures from Daniel Davison, but it's still pretty cool. But yeah, this one's pretty gnarly. I never really understood what the deal was until we did the original episode, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh shoot, that's what that is. I thought it was just like, kind of like an Elephant Man, type thing going on there. So yeah, what do you think about that album artwork, Eric?
I mean, we just talked about a really pretty artwork from this one that looked like a comic book, so we're switching to something completely
now look at my hands.
And this one is brutal, and talking about like all the little pictures throughout, it's really, really brutal.
And the context behind it, and oh yeah, man.
And then for some reason, it always reminds me of Breaking Benjamin. We're Not Alone. That album.
Okay.
It's got kind of a blue bald guy with his hands crossed.
Oh yeah,
And his head's down kind of in the hands.
Isn't that their first album or second album? I think it was their second album.
It's pretty early on in their discography.
Yeah.
I remember that. But they're both showing hands. Both kind of got that tone to them, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe that's why it reminds me of them. Maybe it's because the song "So Cold" is on that album. I don't know. It's so cold they give it, Alexisonfire Frostbite.
Yeah. Do you think it goes with the songs though? I don't really feel like there's a connection.
I don't know that there's a real connection.
Yeah, I don't really feel a connection.
I mean, other than these guys are from that area and they might
Right.
feel a physical connection to that.
Right.
But, I mean, beyond that, musically, from an
Tell
outsider...
me a story about the blizzard, man.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. No. It's just...
this could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah, true. It could happen to you, people.
Yeah.
It could happen
Maybe
in
that's
Mexico.
what that song's about.
Global warming. No, we're not going down that road.
Too late. We're there.
Too late. It's happening.
So maybe that's what that song actually about. I don't know.
We're getting political on this podcast. Eric's talking about what bands identify as. I'm throwing out global warming here. It's great. We're just having a great time and a round table discussion here. Erik, I can't tell you how many times I've said this, but we enjoy a good split EP, right?
I think we do.
To bring back split EPs 2024. The campaign is on. Let's talk about Alexisonfire's one and only split EP that they did with the band Monine. Are you familiar at all with the band Monine?
Not even a little.
Yeah, I didn't know who they were until listening to this one. I still kind of mean to go out and try to listen to some of their stuff on their own. They're I mean, I don't know how. They don't have any screaming, I'll tell you that. It's just more rock music. But I really kind of enjoyed this split. I don't know about you. I enjoyed the whole like, hey, we're going to cover your song, you cover our song, but we're not just going to do like a straightforward cover. I mean, we're turning this into how we want to do it. And I told Josh, I said, one of my favorite songs on that album is, I say that and then now I can't think of what it's actually called. But it is from Alexisonfire's Watch Out album. Isn't it Accidents? Accidents. It's called Accidents, and Monine covered it, and they changed the song name to Accidents Are on Purpose. Don't get me wrong, I love Alexisonfire's Accidents version. It's a good one, but something about the way Monine did it on this album really stood out to me, and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, overall, I like the way they did that. It's not... it's not just, hey, we're going to do 3 songs and you do 3 songs and then we'll just call it a day and we'll never see each other again. No, these two bands, like, I think there was a couple songs too where it's like they kind of did some like vocals on each other's songs.
Seemed like it anyway. Yeah.
Well, the music video for the first 2 songs are tied together. If you get a chance, go look that up. I don't know, it'd be kind of like in a warehouse almost. And like Monine's playing on one side and Alexisonfire is playing on the other side, and it's like, I think Alexisonfire plays their song first and then it switches over to Monine and they play their song, and they're both kind of like going back and forth doing their thing with each other. And so there's a lot of like working together throughout this. And then like I said, the whole covering each other's songs, but not just doing it straightforward. I mean, putting their own kind of spin on it, along with a couple of original songs as well. So I wanted to see what you thought about this split EP.
I thought it was pretty good. Like you said, I had no idea who Monine is, what
Right.
Monine is. Never heard the word before in my life.
Monine.
But I thought it was a pretty good EP as a whole. Like you said, it's not necessarily just like straight up covers. They put their spin on it. I like that.
Very interesting.
Put your own flavor into it.
Yes.
Don't just give me the same thing from somebody else.
Right.
You're not copying a recipe. Mm-hmm. This is not Grand's recipe
Add
that
a
you
little
got to be.
salt and cayenne pepper, and
throw some sour in there. Throw some sugar.
Put some sweat on it, man.
There you go. You make it different somehow, and I think they did pretty good at that.
Or I guess as Once Nothing would say, put some stank on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, but it made me want to try out moaning, and somebody who already knows a little bit from Alexisonfire at this point. So I think it did its job.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, that's what a split EP's for, is you bring fans from both sides and you say, hey, why don't you try out that guy if I try out this guy?
Yes.
You know?
That's what we're all here for as musical people, is to help each other out, right? Right.
Sure.
Yeah. I feel like that's what it should be. I mean, that's why I'm such a proponent of split EPs, you know, or supporter of split EPs. It's like,
especially when you do it with a smaller band and you're a
Right.
bigger band, you're bringing them up to your level.
Right.
And that's always been great. I mean, looking out there, not even split EPs, but seeing, you know, collabs with different people, you know, oh, what's a good one? There's so many collabs that I have even just in my playlist and, you know, through my regular albums, but like,
well, like the first one that comes to my mind is just in general, like a song. It had nothing to do with like a split EP, but like I would have never gotten into Silent Planet if it wasn't for Norma Jean, because Garrett comes on the last song on All Hail Anna as a featured guest. Now I had heard of Silent Planet at that point, but never really got into him. Never really heard his vocals. His vocals were sick on that song, man, and I was like, oh, I'm going to check this band out right now. So
I got two like that.
yeah, go for it.
Let's see. Craig Mabbitt from the second singer for Escape the Fate.
Mm-hmm.
He was on, I guess, singer from Bless the Fall at one point. Anyway,
Yeah.
you know how they switch you.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so he was with I Set to Kill on this song called Deadly Weapons.
Okay.
And it was a full collab song. And I thought that was fantastic. So I went and looked up I Set to Kill. And they're a great little band too.
What's the weirdest collab you've ever heard?
Let's see.
It doesn't.
Probably
I mean,
have to be with Lights.
Okay.
And
Silverstein.
no,
Not that one.
she did. Lights actually did a few of them.
Okay. Oh, I was about to say, I'm sure she's. Yeah, I'm sure
I'm trying
she's
to think of
out there
the
doing a lot.
song.
Who's it with?
That's what I was trying to remember.
Oh, you
Just-
don't even remember that. Okay.
Anyway, she did this song with this. Josh can probably tell us. Pretty heavy band. We all used to listen to them.
Yeah.
And it was during their heavier times too. It's not like, you know, as they get softer, as they get older, kind of thing. But anyway,
We'll have to look that up later. The one that comes to my mind is, and I'm not hating on it because I love this song. It's a good one. I think it's more of just like, it's just, you'll know when I say it, but Haley Williams and the Chariot. Which song is that? Is that I heard this noise. Came to kill. Then came to kill.
you had to go and ask me.
Yeah, then came to kill, because then it's the Two Dead Boys. Yeah.
That's a pretty odd one too.
Yeah, it's just odd because of like the time signature, and he's, you know, it just, you have to go listen to it to understand what I'm saying.
They're both doing their own thing.
Yes.
Together.
But it's beautiful.
And I do
It's
like
weird,
it.
but it's beautiful.
That being said, Haley Williams does a lot of that, and you know, with her name, that's one of those that she can drag a band up.
Right.
And one of those would be Set Your Goals.
Okay.
She did a song with them, and
yeah.
that's
what
how
song was that? I can hear it.
I could sing the song to you. You wouldn't want to hear
Was
it,
that-
but I could
wasn't
do it.
It was, oh boy. Wasn't it off the one, the album that has the van on the cover? It was like they're broke down on the side of the road. I think it is,
Man,
isn't
I
it?
can't even remember at the moment.
Anyway.
Back in the day, I didn't have album covers. My iPod wouldn't allow it.
Yeah. I could be wrong. It could have been,
But
could have been.
I was thinking it was off of Mutiny. I definitely could be wrong. It's been like
Let's see.
3 minutes since I listened to them, so you know.
Was it not? Now I want to say it was off This Will Be the Death of Us. I think it is.
But it's, I mean, getting back into the original thought there, again, that's another band I kind of found through her. You know, I was sitting there watching, you know, Riot and having a good time, and it says suggested for you on YouTube. Who's this little band? I don't know. And so I popped over there and listened to them. I'm like, this is actually really great, and I enjoyed them a lot.
Yeah. It's good.
So
How do we get on that?
we were talking about split
Collabs.
EPs.
Collabs and split EPs. Yeah.
I like both items quite a bit.
Man, bring them back, people. I would just love to see that. More split EPs, man.
Split EP is just an expanded collaboration, which I like.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not just a one-off and you know,
Right.
be gone.
Yeah.
You know?
This song features so and so. All right, get out. On to the next one.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about a song here. Specifically, Alexisonfire's song, "The Northerner."
Is that who we're talking about?
I think so.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Is that what we're talking about?
I think so.
Okay.
Are these the rails?
Where am
Did
I?
we find them?
Yeah, so the song "The Northerner" off of Old Crow's Young Cardinals album. Me and Josh had a little bit of discussion on the original episode. You know, just kind of the song in general and the story behind it. You know, it's got a Christian hymn. I guess you could say melody behind it. I mean, it's kind of the Northerner. Well, let's see here.
There's a lot to unpack here.
There's a lot to unpack here. So it's kind of based on a Christian hymn. It's kind of like, okay, was there Christian ties to it? Are these guys Christian? Do they identify as Christian? Do they not identify? Are they, you know, what are they? You know, and then we kind of talked about like, well, we kind of looked it up and saw that there was kind of like a nod to the hymn's roots, you know, being kind of bluesy and such. And it's kind of like, okay, well, so what is it? Because we were both sitting there, like, I enjoyed the Northerner, but like I sit there and I think about like the context and I'm like, this is so weird, because then it's like Josh said a few songs later, and I can't remember what the song's called, but like the lyrics say there's no police between two beating hearts, which is like, okay, well that's opposite then of, you know, what you'd be saying in the other song.
Is it accepted crime?
Accepted crime, yeah, I think you're right. So it's, I don't know, it's just really kind of confusing. I would see it probably more as the nod to the hymn's roots, you know, being kind of bluesy and everything, but I don't know. What do you think? What do you make of this song?
It is. I do like it. I'll start with that.
It's a good one, yeah.
It is a good one. It is very different from them.
Right.
So very strange. While they are not religious, and they have said so themselves, I did hear a quote somewhere. I can't remember if you and Josh talked about it or if I found it while reading somewhere online. They said they were, quote, looking for divine inspiration for this album.
Interesting.
And this was a nod to that. And this is maybe the song where they found that divine inspiration. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I just read it somewhere. I couldn't find the quote exactly.
Not you. It's just like, I don't know. It's still just kind of confused, but
And it was apparently a popular hymn with slaves too.
Yeah.
Because it was talking about freedom and stuff. And it was also, I was reading somewhere, this was an inspiration for a lot of old blues songs, like you were kind of saying.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was an odd one.
Yeah.
It
So,
doesn't surprise me too much that the song itself feels a little bit bluesy due to the hymn/bluesy ties that it has.
Right.
But like I said, as a whole, when I'm thinking, I want to listen to Alexisonfire, this is not exactly the song that comes to mind.
Right, yeah.
But if it does, you know, if I put on Crows and Cardinals, I'm going to listen to it because it's a great song.
Right. Yeah, I'm not going to skip that one. What are you talking
Absolutely
about?
not. But
Are you crazy? Don't hit that skip button. Get out of my car. Yeah. Well, and then too, like, me and Josh talked about it, and it kind of goes with otherness, and we'll talk about it here. We'll talk about that album here in a little bit, unfortunately. No, but I mean, in Dallas's solo project, City and Color, he gets to the point where he drops more of the just like full on acoustic to go more bluesy. And so I kind of wonder if he was kind of leading that charge too. Again, we're not hating on the song. We love the song. We're just trying to figure out, like, okay, this
what
is
in the world's going on?
kind of weird in your discography. Yeah. So, real quick here, Eric, we both enjoy a good, not split EP, but I almost said split EP again. We do. Hey, I just want to make sure we're still on the same page, right? We do enjoy a good split EP.
absolutely.
Okay, good. We do. We both do enjoy a good post-rock instrumental song or songs, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that final track off of Dog's Blood EP. And then I even made mention to the beginning of the song Polaroids of Polar Bears off of their self-titled. Now Polaroids, it's just not straight up instrumental. more just like you said, talking about the
Like the
beginning
first
there.
minute and a half.
Yeah, it's just kind of an interesting. It kind of gives me more of like a explosions in the sky type
Yes.
post rock, kind of that like chill vibe, you know.
Yeah, I described it as very airy.
Yes, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And then the final track off of Dog's Blood, that's a full instrumental. Now that one I see more kind of being your traditional post rock instrumental. But what do you think about those two songs?
Well,
Or
the
at least
Polaroids,
the
the intro
instrumental part,
Polaroids, like I said, it was very kind of airy to me, and it almost like it could have evolved into a full blown instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of like you said.
Yeah.
Some of those other bands we've mentioned before almost felt like something could have come out of their library,
Right.
but then it evolved into a Alexisonfire song.
Do you ever find yourself like sitting there, like after listening to so much like post rock from time to time, and then like sitting there listening to like a band like, I mean, this is gonna be bad, but just like Norma Jean, your normal band that sits in your rotation, you know, that's got vocals and you know such. Do you ever sit there and think, I wonder what it would sound like if they just like flat out came out and be like, hey, we're gonna do an instrumental album? You ever have those times? Because
There are some, yeah, and then there are bands out there, you know, several bands out there that their instrumental sections are strong, they're good sounding,
Well,
and then their singer or vocalist, whatever you want to call that person, because I wouldn't call most of it singing, because it's unfortunate at best, opens their mouth and creates that sound, and
Yeah.
it ruins the whole album. It ruins the entire, you know, not even an album, but it ruins an entire band for me.
do you have a band in mind?
Well,
Oh boy.
no, let's just say no.
Okay, that's fine. No, I wasn't gonna push you to do that. I was just kind of curious if I could see if I could get you to do it. Yeah, I always go back to our discussion on Fall of Troy when they did that. Okay, 1.0, 1.2, 3.0, 5.0, 10.0, whatever.
7.25.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, the instrumental deal. Like I was very intrigued on that, right? Because I love the music. You know, in Fall of Troy. Love their vocals too.
Right.
But their music, their instrument section
Always
is
been my favorite.
terrific, man. And they're so talented. But I was very curious to go back and listen to it, and I only got through like one song, and I was like, to me, it's like it's ruined because I know that there's vocals there, and it really just sounded like they said, okay, we're gonna copy paste, but delete vocals, and here's an album for you. Now give me $15, you know, or whatever. And I don't like that. So for me, I would the first band that comes to mind is I would love to see Fall of Troy, just straight up come out and say, hey, our next album it's gonna be instrumental, and that's what we're gonna do. No vocals, nothing. We're just gonna see what happens. That would be sick.
Oh yeah, they would do really well, I think.
Yeah, but I wondered maybe if you had thought the same thing that I did there too. So, cool. So, you know, we both like some acoustic stuff here and there. What did you think about Deathbed EP? The acoustic renditions.
As a whole, I liked them.
Okay.
As a whole, there's some high spots and low spots there.
Okay.
Silverstein does this kind of thing a lot,
Okay.
where, and their stuff I tend to love it. But that being said, I'm a little biased, you know. So, let's see. I will say, definitely kind of what I was saying earlier about the Northerner. It's not what I come to hear when I'm thinking Alexisonfire.
Right.
I think, you know, Alexisonfire. Let's put on Crows and Cardinals. Let's put on some Crisis. Let's put on, you know, Watch Out. Let's, you know, those kind of albums with a little bit of energy to them, a little bit of, you know, hardcore
Get up and go.
feeling,
Yeah.
a little bit of harshy vocals to them. And then you hit this one, it's like, whoa, Heartbreak. What happened here?
Yeah.
It's just very different for them. And good, bad, or otherwise, like I said, I would have to really think about it to put this, you know, on versus, oh, but I really wanted to listen to this album or this song, you know. I don't know. It's not, it's just, it doesn't.
Just doesn't hit the same way.
It's still pretty good, don't get me
Okay.
wrong, but it's just weird to me.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think
it's like a different half of the coin I just don't look at very often or something.
I'm with you. It's like I'm not sitting there waking up going, I want to listen to Deathbed EP today, you know. I think there was really only like one song that I enjoyed, and it may have been Midnight regulations, I think. But my biggest beef with this EP is I don't understand why putting a song on this EP that is already basically a stripped down version already. And the song that I'm talking about is Burials. What's the point? I don't understand. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit different from the original, but it's like that song is already basically stripped down. So you couldn't have picked a different song? You know? I don't know.
It's a lazy one. Let's just do that one. It looks easy.
Was it like they only had like one from like their first 2 albums, wasn't it? I think there's only one song.
I could see where that would be really difficult to strip those down and make an acoustic.
I mean, I guess, but like I was really like kind of surprised that they didn't like put more on there, and who knows how many were left on the cutting floor.
They put too much stank on it.
Yeah,
in those first
there's
couple
a little
albums.
too much sting, bro. It smells like a fart, bad fart. Anyway, yeah, talking about bands identifying and global warming and farts. Welcome to our podcast. Yeah. Okay, so regardless, Eric, we're getting onto the newer stuff here, but regardless how you feel about the 3 singles that were released before their newest album, Otherness, the promo idea, and I kind of had some discussions with you on this, but the promo idea the band had where for each song they would release just on their social media page just black pictures. That's it, just a black picture for each single. Now, of course, I'm sure that could throw some confusion into it. Like, what the heck is this? What am I looking at? Something wrong with my computer or my phone?
Bravo 6 going dark.
Yeah, exactly. So the key though is you had to manipulate. You had to take these photos, each one, and you had to manipulate the brightness and the contrast of the photos to find out what was hidden in them. Is that too much of a promotional idea? Is it? Do you like it? What do you think about that? I enjoy a good promotional like that, but sometimes I'm kind of like, man, I don't know, because like I put in like all caps here, got to put in the work.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't know if I want to put in the work for a single, and then
that's why you go to Reddit. Let some other guy do it.
That's true. But then then in the end, I'm like, oh, and Josh said it too. It's like, you put in the work for that? Really? Come on, man. So,
well, it's kind of like y'all said in the original podcast. It's because you know what's coming.
And that's true. Yeah.
But if I didn't know,
for sure.
Like if it's one of my bands I have in my regular rotation and I'm seeing this come out on their socials, I'm like, this is weird. And then I hear whispers in the air, saying, go adjust this and do this. And I'd go, okay, reddit.com. And
who's already done it for me?
That would be the first place I'd check. But if nothing else, I would attempt to do this myself.
Yeah.
I think it's a really cool idea.
Okay.
I've talked to a older gentleman recently. He's been in business a long time. Mm-hmm. And this is a business move. Everybody's got a gimmick, is what he said.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
This is a gimmick. It gets people excited. I think it's a pretty cool way to keep people excited. Like I said, unless it's physical pictures like Josh was thinking.
Oh my gosh. If I could have reached through my computer screen and slapped him upside the head, I would. But that's okay. I'll just wait till I see him next time and I'll slap him upside the head. So be ready, Josh, because you never know when those 5 fingers are going to meet your face. Yeah. So, that was kind of funny when he said that. He's like, so these physical, how do you do that with physical pictures? I'm like, no, you idiot. Since the 1990s or 80s or whatever, we have phones now, buddy.
Go to my dark room with my serial killer
lights.
Yeah,
I think he said that too. He's like, there's a bunch of people in the dark rooms? What's happening? Yeah. No, I mean, I find it interesting. I'm just kind of like, what the heck, man? And I get what you're saying too. It's like, I mean, in the original episodes, like we knew what was coming.
Right.
We didn't like the singles. We weren't a fan of Otherness. If you didn't catch our drift there.
And even I'm on that boat.
Yeah, but I mean, what'd you think about the singles?
None of them really caught me. Like none of them were like, wow, I got to listen to that.
Right.
Wow, this album's gonna be amazing. Or,
right.
Which I didn't get the wow from it.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, it's like you said, if you're into that band and something like that comes up and you're kind of like, oh, cool, let's do this or that. I would just like, I've been burned a couple of times on like not doing stuff like that, but just like, hey, you're putting out a new single, and you're like, yes, it's about time, and then they put it out, and you're like, what was that?
Wait, hold on, put on the brakes.
That's what I was waiting for. Really? That's what I got hyped for. Come on, man. Which it's a high risk. High reward. Maybe not. So I don't know. That's just life, buddy. That's just life. All right, Eric, before we finish off with our final two discussion questions here, I got our final trivia question. Oh, boy. If you can only see Eric's face now, he is stressed out. Okay, here we go. Are you ready?
Yes.
For $1 million. What was the story behind the name of the band's one and only demo, the Math Sheets demo?
Searching, calculating.
Calculating.
I think the file hit file 13. Oh no.
He hit a dead end. Oh crap, where do I go? His little buddy in his head may be just running into the wall over and over.
That hamster's spinning.
Come on, you hamster.
You ever seen a hamster who got a little overextended? Now he's
stuck in
going
the wheel
so fast, and now he's going around the wheel.
Yeah,
I think that's where my hamster just
funny.
went.
And then he finally gets like spit out. He's
Yes.
like, what happened?
Well, I'll spit out something here for you.
Okay. I say sooner or later you're gonna have to take a gas or something.
Well, you see, they all went to high school together, and they had a math test, and they didn't do so hot.
Close. You're close, buddy.
I was remembering parts of it, but I
Yeah.
couldn't get it all. Yeah.
So the CD was wrapped in the drummer's math homework. I don't know why. Maybe just trying to carry it around without getting scratched up or something. I don't know. Yes, kids. Back in the day, we had to worry about getting our CDs, keep our CDs from getting scratched. Otherwise, you get stuff like My Arrivals and Departures album from Silverstein, where it got so bad where through the first song, was it The Sound of the Sun? Is that what it's called? It would get to, I mean, literally a few seconds in, it'd be like, what does it say? You cast these scars across my face or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all of a sudden it's like, it's like, oh God. And then one of my favorites was A Day to Remember. Josh had that album, For Those Who Have Heart. And I think it's still that way on my albums on my phone, where it's fast forward to 2012 songs. The very first song, right? He's like, we welcome you to the second chapter, and it gets about like halfway in the song. And I mean, to be honest, I'll play it for you later when we get done with this. It actually sounds pretty cool to me personally. But it just gets like so hung up in like digital. It's like, it's like, oh, what the heck is happening? And then it just goes like right into the next song. It's like, was that like, I remember the first time I listened to it, I was like, was that how that song actually goes? Because that was pretty sick. And then I remember Redeemer. Josh had Redeemer, and it got pretty scratched that The End of All Things will be televised. Close to the end of it, kind of where it kind of gets into the little breakdown part, there was some like skipping parts on that on the CD, and it actually made it sound really cool. But yeah, back in the day, kids, we had to worry about protecting our CDs from getting scratched up so we could actually
Sometimes it's got to be math homework.
Sometimes, man. Gotta do what you gotta do, right? All right, let's finish up here. So after the release of Dog's Blood EP and a few singles after that, the band promised the new material. Let me back up. Let me start this one over again. Forget the singles. Directly after, so this is basically between Dog's Blood and Deathbed. After the release of Dog's Blood EP, the band promised the new material that they were writing would be, quote, so heavy it would make Dog's Blood EP sound like a ska album. Which, it's one thing about that is it's kind of funny because their drummer, Jordan, I can't remember what his last name is, he used to be in a ska band, so I thought that was kind of funny. And I wonder, is that kind of a dig at him? But yeah. But I remember saying that to Josh, and he just gave me that face. That face we were just talking about a little bit ago. And he's like, really, where? Because I'm still waiting for it, man. And so let's just go ahead and assume, because we're not really sure, but let's go ahead and assume that that quote is talking about the music that ends up on their newest album, Otherness. Do you feel the music lived up to that hype?
You mean the hype that they tried to set themselves?
Yeah, basically.
No.
Why would you do that though? See, that's the thing about it. It's like, just let it be organic. Don't come out and be like, this is gonna be the greatest album you're ever gonna hear in 2023, or whatever. Just let it be organic. Let people decide for themselves.
I feel like this album lost a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
They sang a lot more than they did their harsh vocals, which I kind of feel like they, back in the day, that's what they hung their hat on.
Right.
That was their thing. That was their, their shtick. And they lost a lot of that. I would just...
Well,
it's like they used to have an edge,
right.
And they lost that edge. It became a smooth stone,
So I kind of wonder if there's a couple of things that play into this album's sound. One is George, the unclean vocalist. At this point, when they went on hiatus, he pursued his dream career of being a fireman, right?
Random.
Odd. I've heard weirder. I think there was one we were talking about not so long ago. I think it was A Life Once Lost we did. That the drummer or something like that left the band to pursue a culinary career in South Africa. How random is that? I mean, whatever. I get you have dreams, but it's really random. But anyway, doing that, I wonder if because I think he made some comments too, when they got back together, that he was kind of like, hey, look, I'm in the band, but this is really my passion over here, is being a firefighter and everything. So I wonder if that kind of drew him away from doing too much vocals on this album or what.
Or they just kind of worked around him.
Right. And then, I told Josh this, I said, this album, the sound of it and everything makes me think of the direction that Dallas Green went with City and Color. And I'm not really a big fan of it. I liked his older stuff on City and Color. And I was okay with when he got into kind of more bluesy sound at the beginning there. I think was 2013, 14. But yeah, this recent stuff has just kind of lost me. It's just not for me. So I kind of wonder if those things kind of added to what we ended
and the
up getting
way
here.
it's so pointed too, it almost reminds me, I think it was I Wrestled a Bear Once, where they came out and said, this next album, we're going back to death metal because that's what we love. And, you eat my shorts if you don't like it.
Yeah.
And, it was almost like the next album came out. They're like, what were you talking about?
Well, and I think in that instance, it was a joke.
Right. I don't know if this ended up being a joke.
Oh, well, yeah.
Or
is this a joke?
Because these guys don't seem like they joke like that. Iwabo is a little bit more like,
that's a really,
we're messing with you.
That's a really deep joke then. I mean, to throw money at it and time and energy. Yeah, that's, Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know. Me neither. But no, they did not live up to the hype.
No.
It fell flat right on its face.
Is there any song that really stands out to you at all? Do you like anything on there at all?
Well, I might have quoted one here.
Okay.
Let me see.
I mean, if you want to tie that into the last question, that's fine. We can go ahead and jump to that one if you want.
No, I didn't quote any of them.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that's your answer there, Curtis.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and get away from this album. I don't even know if I want to talk about it anymore, unless it's your favorite album. No, I'm just kidding. Is it? Maybe. We're about to find out. All right, Eric. So, a final question that I always ask you on these episodes: give me some of your favorite stuff. This band, the album, songs, lyrics, riffs, what have you.
So, jumping into the favorites of me.
Okay. It's all about Eric.
Yay. It's what I always wanted. So, favorite album art. For sure, these guys. I love Dog's Blood. It is so cool.
That's interesting.
A weird skull dude wearing a dog pelt or wolf pelt, I'm not sure which, with other skulls and things all kind of in the hair and stuff.
Yeah.
Snakes, graves. There's a demon creature next to a tree that looks like it's bleeding. I mean, it's just random and brutal. And the font up top.
Yeah.
Where it says their name across the top. I dig that too. That's a lot of fun. Getting a picture up.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at it. Because it's been a while since I've seen it. Yeah, it's definitely different.
It's not quite as random as some things.
Yeah,
But-
I've seen worse.
It's
I'm
more
looking
channeled.
at you, Dance Gavin Dance.
Right. It's a little more channeled than Dance Gavin Dance, but it's still kind of got those random
wait,
weird elements.
Now I'm just thinking of a different one. A band called was it Drugs? Band called Drugs, I think.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
Destroy, Rebuild Until God Shows.
Yeah, it was that
Drugs.
like super group or whatever.
Oh, I
It had-
forgot they were a super.
Yeah, it
group,
had Craig Owens. The only two I remember was Craig Owens and then the guitarist, vocalist from First to Last was on there too. But yeah, their one and only album, that artwork is really weird looking.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I do remember that. So here's some lyrics I liked. This one is from Born and Raised from Old Crows, Young Cardinals. It is, let's see here. I can hear the claws of the beast tapping at my window. Nihilist sleeps, or nihilist sleeps, and in dreams he sees God's face. Realize even disbelief requires a leap of faith. From birth to death, we search for what's yet to be known, and we hope and pray and ask, but we are never shown.
because we were born and raised. Yeah,
Really good song. It's got a
that's a
bounce
good
to
one.
it.
Yeah, that's a good
But
one.
I really like the thought there behind that too. Is that regardless of where you're at, even somebody who nihilist, or however you pronounce that.
I think it's Nihilist. Yeah.
Yeah, I was corrected on that yesterday. I still don't like it. But anyway,
They must have been a Nihilist.
yeah. Looking at you, you know who you are.
Looking at you, man.
But anyway, regardless of what you're doing, it requires faith. It takes faith to not believe, even.
Very true. Very true.
So anyway, I thought that was a neat thought. Let's see. This one is from This Could Be Anywhere in the World, off of the Crisis album.
Shocking.
Imagine that, right? I almost want to sing this, but I'll spare you all. Because this city is haunted.
Haunted.
It's not haunted. That's the way he
Haunted.
pronounces it. By ghosts from broken homes. Because this city is haunted. And there's no hope left for these souls. The sky's a brick wall, the ground's a juggernaut. Each day we get a bit closer between them, I am caught.
Oh no.
Squish.
Haunted. Haunted.
City is haunted. Something to that effect.
That's funny. That's
So-
that's an iconic drum line going into that one.
I love that whole song.
Ding, 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 ding. Yep.
There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
reason that song caught my attention to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
Top to bottom, lyrics, just overall sound.
Oh yeah.
Very
It's a
good.
good one, man.
So I will say, album-wise, my favorite is a really close call. Really close call, actually.
Uh-huh.
Is it Otherness?
Yes.
That's probably the closest to the
Well,
bottom.
duh. I mean, that's what I thought it was.
So
Close to the trash can.
closest to the trash can, absolutely. So between Crisis and Crows and Cardinals, as of today, this very moment, it's been back and forth.
Yeah.
From the time of this writing to the time of, currently. I'm leaning towards Cardinals.
Okay.
Probably just because more of those songs end up singing through my head
I was gonna
throughout
say,
the day.
that's how I end up going. Is I love those two albums. Those two are probably my favorite. But yeah,
Right.
I always end up kind of leaning more towards Crows and Cardinals.
Crisis, it's the first 2 or 3 songs, that block. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. The rest of it's kind of, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's not as good of an album, as a total as
Right, I got
Cardinals,
what
in
you're
my
saying.
opinion.
Yeah.
Of course, my opinion. Like I said earlier, it is absolute gold. 24 carats, guys.
You heard it here first. Cool.
I only hold it in a slight high estimation.
Yeah.
So, songs, got a couple special mentions for you. Young Cardinals is pretty good. I like I had a note on this somewhere, but that one kind of reminded me, I don't know, almost like a drinking song type. The vibe.
Young
they were-
Cardinals?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know, like the vibe that I had at certain points in it. I
Well,
don't know.
next time I'm at a pub, I'll try to start singing and getting everybody into it. Like, come on, guys!
Maybe not as
What are
much
you looking at me weird for?
like almost like a pirate shanty or something. There's a
Interesting.
something between a drinking
Yo
song and a pirate
ho,
shanty.
young
Yeah,
Cardinals.
there's something about it.
it.
And it may be just because it reminds me of a band that does things like that.
Okay.
I can't quite nail it down, but something about it, and I like it. It's a fun
Well, they
song.
are in the music video. They are playing on the dock.
Maybe there you
So-
go. I don't know. So another special mention is Born and Raised. I quoted lyrics from it earlier. It's a really good song overall. So, but you didn't come here to hear special mentions.
I came for the good stuff.
So, number 3.
Number 3.
Drunks, Lovers, Sinners, and Saints.
Nice.
From good old Crisis.
It's a good one to start off an album, man. That's a great one to start off an album.
Absolutely. So, actually, number 2 changed hard.
Number 2.
Number 2 changed so hard because you guys making me re-listen and think about this song.
That's right. We have power.
A little bit.
We're influencers, Josh. We're influencers. I know he loves that. He loves that title.
So this one ended up being The Northern from Cardinals because I went back and, like I said, looked into it. I listened to it like 13 times in a row, trying to get, as we were talking about it. I was like, this is a really good song.
It's a good one, man.
After listening to it, I mean, literally a dozen and a half times,
Right.
back to back to back, trying to, really nail it down. I was like, I'm really not tired of it. Like, it's still not a bad song. Like, some songs you hear once or twice and you're like, okay, can we do anything
enough.
else?
Next. Yeah.
But this one, I was like, I'm still enjoying this. But anyway, so
Nice.
it's a very good song. Number 2, well worth that. Getting into number 1, though.
Number 1.
This one should surprise everybody. This could be anywhere in the world.
Man, I was thinking it was his least favorite. I am so sick of this overplayed song. Yeah. Nice.
So,
I mean, there's really nothing else to comment on, right? Because we've already talked about it too much, probably.
a little bit. I mean, we
It's
nailed this
it's
one to
just
the
a
ground.
great song all over, man.
Oh, yeah.
Just all around. And I feel like that is, I mean, if you ask somebody, name the first thing that comes to your mind when I say Alexisonfire, it's probably the first thing people think of.
And if I was going to say, if you want to get a start with this band, first 2 songs off of Crisis are a great place to start. And if you listen to the rest of the album, it's still pretty good too. Crows and Cardinals, really can't go wrong with that album as a whole. Especially lyrically, that one's different.
Yeah.
Because it almost did feel like they were looking for that, quote, divine inspiration in that one.
Yeah.
It is a little different from their earlier stuff, but it's not so different that I feel like they need to change their name.
I do like what you said earlier, though, at the beginning of the episode about, like, errors. Era.
And they do have about 3 era.
Yeah, I
that
never
would
really
call it.
looked at that before. It's like self-titled and Watch Out really feel like they go together, and then you get Crisis and Young Cardinals. They feel like they go together. And so then I'm like, I roll my eyes and think, oh, great. We're going to get another otherness. Grand. Yeah. There seems to be a pattern. That's kind of interesting. I never really looked at it like that.
And not every band does that, but this band,
No, yeah,
They
for
seem
sure.
to-
Yeah,
like I said, they have an era about them.
right. Era, not errors.
Close enough.
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty. Any final words, thoughts on the band Alexisonfire?
They're a pretty good band. Check them out if you haven't.
I
I honestly started out not liking them that much.
Okay. Took a little bit of time.
Well, yeah. Like I said, I liked the 2 or 3
Little
songs
peer
that I
pressure.
had known.
Yeah.
And then actually sitting down and truly listening to them, maybe due to a little peer pressure, gun to the forehead kind of stuff, that after that, really listening to it and digging a little deeper than just the absolute surface level, where I
Right.
sometimes will stay with things that I don't want to like, I actually kind of started liking them. So
Okay.
give them a shot. They're worth it.
Cool. You heard it here from the man himself. Go check out Alexisonfire now. But in the meantime, listen to this outro. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings, not just on this show, but our other shows as well. We have the Pop podcast, so this one right here, the History of the Chorus podcast. That's where me and Josh talk about bands that me and Erik will sooner or later get around to discussing. You also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which not so far. It's over. It's done. The Red Right Hand podcast has covered all 6 seasons and a few episodes in between of the Peaky Blinders. You also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which so far has covered season 1, soon to be season 2 of House of the Dragon. And also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. And if you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces, head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived by Productions. And that'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up the video. Alright. We'll see you in the next episode where we discuss the band from Victory Records, at least at one point in their time. The band known as Comeback Kid. Woohoo! We'll see you.